Hi guys, my name's Tim. I'm the owner of Calcio football bar, the only retro Italian football bar in London. And hello to my friends at Dedicado, the YouTube channel.
Dieta Casano, hoy con un vídeo muy especial, un vídeo de pura cultura futbolística del fútbol italiano y saliendo al mundo real. ¿Recordáis aquellos momentos en los Fraggle cuando se ponían a leer la postal que mandaba el tío Matt y contaba historias de la calle, fuera de la cueva de los Fraggle? Es un poco lo que estamos ahora, ¿no? Saliendo un poco de esta cueva de Dieta Casano, que es mi piso, y yendo al mundo real. Y la verdad que hemos estado en Londres, en un sitio muy especial, un bar que está completamente dedicado al fútbol italiano, de verdad una pasada. Si vais a Londres tenéis que ir al bar Calcio, buscarlo en Google, y ya digo, si vais a Londres tenéis que ir si os gusta el fútbol italiano, porque es una auténtica pasada. Y desde Londres me llegan algunos regalos, ¿no? Relacionados prácticamente, pues, ¿con qué va a ser, no? Con la italianada. Mira, un libro. Una historia del fútbol italiano, de John Foot, tremendo, uno más para la colección. Por cierto, gracias a todos los que habéis visto el vídeo de los mejores libros de fútbol italiano, lo dejamos por aquí si lo queréis volver a ver, y me encantan los comentarios y que os gusten estas recomendaciones. Tengo que leerlo, una historia del fútbol italiano de John Foot. Seguro que hablaremos de algunos de estos pasajes en próximos vídeos. Y bueno, hay más regalos del tío Matt, esto es tremendo. Ultra. El submundo del fútbol italiano, de Tobias Jones, un tomo, no nos podemos aburrir, para leerlo en vacaciones, sobre la cultura de grada del fútbol italiano, que a mí particularmente es una de las cosas que siempre me ha gustado del fútbol italiano, y que yo creo que nos emparentan mucho a los españoles con ellos, mucho más que con los ingleses. Yo creo que por eso hay cierta afinidad. Y yo, conociendo este bar en Londres, Calcio, te lleva a preguntarte por qué a los ingleses les gusta tanto el fútbol italiano. Yo sé que aquí en España, por ejemplo, yo me aficioné al fútbol italiano con las retransmisiones de Canal Plus, con Gaby Ruiz, con Maldini. Yo ahí, por ejemplo, aprendí qué era exactamente un scudetto en la camiseta. Bueno, una serie, empezamos a descubrir jugadores maravillosos, ¿no? Como Roberto Baggio y tantos otros, Signori, Mancini. Pero digamos que la relación de los ingleses con el fútbol italiano es particular y tiene una historia detrás que yo creo que es bonita, y tiene que ver con Paul Gascoigne. En la temporada 92-93 Paul Gascoigne llega al Lazio y es una revolución en el fútbol italiano, porque de repente es una de las mayores estrellas del fútbol italiano, y una pequeña productora de Inglaterra, la Chrysalis, se van a hacer un documental sobre Paul Gascoigne en la Lazio. Él se estaba recuperando una lesión de rodilla y bueno, era Dios ahí en la tierra en Roma, y se van a hacer un documental. Y Paul Gascoigne aquellos días estaba tristón, porque decía que ahí en la Lazio nadie iba a ver sus partidos, nadie en Inglaterra, ni su familia, ni nadie iba a ver los partidos. Y a esta gente de Chrysalis se les ilumina el cerebro y van a preguntar por cuánto cuestan los derechos de retransmitir todo el calcio, ¿no? Algo que suena absurdo, ridículo, y se encuentran con que son muy baratos realmente, y los compran todo el fútbol italiano para retransmitir en Inglaterra en abierto. O sea, es algo impensable, y retransmiten toda la liga italiana en el canal 4 inglés, en Channel 4, en abierto. Hay que tener en cuenta que la Premier League, por ejemplo, en aquellos años no era la Premier League de ahora, era una liga digamos menos atractiva, con menos estrellas, y que además la daba Sky Sports por cable, pagando. Mientras tanto, al lado tenías Channel 4 dando todos los partidos de liga italiana, con jugadorazos como Baresi, como Baggio, como todos estos que he dicho, con Paul Gascoigne, con David Platt, más tarde con Paul Ince, en abierto. Y con programas como Fútbol Italia o con James Richardson, una serie de programas buenísimos con entrevistas a jugadores italianos todas las semanas, todo ello en abierto, los sábados y los domingos por la mañana. Y entonces el furor que causó eso en Inglaterra fue tremendo. Para que os hagáis una idea, el primer partido que retransmitió Channel 4 en abierto en Inglaterra de la Liga Italiana fue un Sampdoria-Lazio, nada del otro mundo, excepto porque estaba Paul Gascoigne en la Lazio, y lo vieron 3 millones de personas. O sea, desde entonces el fútbol italiano tiene un lugar en el corazón de todos los ingleses, y el seguimiento y la cultura de fútbol que generó el fútbol italiano con las gradas, con el ruido tremendo que hacían los campos italianos en aquella época en comparación con los ingleses, caló definitivamente en la cultura del fútbol inglés y todavía se sigue manteniendo y hay una cierta nostalgia por aquel tipo de programas y es lo que nos va a explicar nuestro amigo el dueño del bar Calcio en Londres, que todavía recuerda aquellos años pues como los mejores de su vida.
A very big driver for Italian football in the 90s was the Paul Gascoigne transfer. There was a lot of hype behind the transfer, but Gascoigne had just played for England in the 1990 World Cup. The nation was very proud of the team. Gascoigne was one of the best players. The transfer was supposed to happen the season before, but he got injured playing in the FA Cup final. By the time the transfer happened, which was 92, the media had built it up so much. So yeah, Gascoigne was a real driver for this, and also that coincided with Channel 4 getting the rights to the Serie A. So both of them, those two in 1992 came together. Channel 4 is a free terrestrial domestic channel. You don't have to pay subscription, and this is why it was very accessible to the English audience. You had to pay money to watch the Premier League on cable. Channel 4 pulled off a really strange deal with Serie A. They placed a bid for Serie A, expecting it to be thrown away, and Serie A agreed to it. So it all came together very strangely. Des Walker was there, David Platt was there, and they were big players in the England team of the 1990 World Cup. We like to see how the English players competed against the Italian guys. So no, it was a good time to watch football. A lot of people used to watch it every Saturday and Sunday, and it ran until I think 2012. So for almost 20 years it ran, and it got a cult following in the UK. So a lot of the shirts that you see around the bar are very recognisable to people from England. It was a crazy time. I mean, you literally had all of the great players pretty much in the world. The first team that I remember playing, and the first team that I particularly liked in Italy was Sampdoria, for a variety of reasons. I remember David Platt, who was a good English player. He had just left Juve and then went to Sampdoria. At the same time, Ruud Gullit had just left Milan to go to Samp, and also Des Walker, the English player, had just left. So from a very early age, I did like Samp. I've been to Luigi Ferrara's, which it's the closest you'll get to an English ground in Italy. It's a square shaped. It's almost got the Liverpool Cup at the end of it. So if depending which side you're at, the Genoa side or the Sampdoria side, they are very passionate about the banners and this flag waving, and it looks just amazing when you go into the ground. And Genoa is a lovely city as well, so I recommend, even if you don't like Sampdoria or Genoa, I recommend going to them. And also the final thing is the kit. I think you can catch it at the back. That kit is pretty much the most iconic kit. That's my adopted Italian team. The reason I like the San Siro is because in the 1990 World Cup, the opening ceremony, it wasn't in the Olimpico. It was in San Siro. For a child, a kid, when you see the San Siro compared to any English ground, the San Siro was this huge monster of a stadium. And it's just probably the most iconic stadium, I think, in my opinion, in the world. So I've been to Milan a couple of times. I went to, I think it was Milan-Roma. And then we went to the derby as well. So we went to the Milan derby. The main clients we get are English people. So English people come to the bar because they know of the Channel 4 and the nostalgia of the 90s. We do get Italians in as well. Into Juve, the Rome derby, we're very, very busy, full of Italian guys. But during the week, we're mainly full of English people. Who likes Italian football? Well, it can be anything in the 20s or their 30s, that sort of age. We get quite a lot of Inter fans and Roma fans, so that's probably our best two. If the guys are any older, they will probably support Milan. I used to watch Italian football in the 90s. I watched it on, as a lot of people did, on Channel 4. I knew most of the players, at least for the top 6 or 7 teams. I missed it. When the 90s disappeared, it was very nostalgic. It was something that I did miss. So by the time it came to years later, I was in Milan watching Milan-Roma. I went to a restaurant. It was like a pizzeria restaurant, and going towards the toilet out the back, there was all the pictures of famous Milan players and some of the shirts and the scarves. And that was the moment, I think it was about 6 years ago or 5 years ago, that was the moment where I was like, that is really cool. Why don't we replicate that here? Not just Milan, but we'll do all of the teams. A pennant, a kit and a scarf for pretty much all the teams. So we've tried our best here to include at least all the top sort of 10 teams in Serie A. I thought there was a huge demand for particularly English people to go back down the road to reminisce about Italian football. I thought a bar can't be a bar unless it has Paul Gascoigne in it. So that's the Gascoigne, but it's a very good, it's a beautiful piece of work. We show mainly English and Italian football. It's very busy, particularly when there's top 6 games. The English guys will watch the game. They'll be very enthusiastic. But when the Italian games are on, those guys, the Italian guys, are very, very, very enthusiastic about their team. The noise when like Inter v Napoli or Juventus v Napoli or Juve Inter, when those big games are on, the noise in here is crazy because you know, the guys get really, really passionate about their teams, about their cities. I think it might have been Napoli-Roma, and the room was split into half and half, Neapolitans and Romans. And I was like behind the bar thinking, oh, this is a bit strange. Let's hope everything is okay. But no, it was cool. And we always have a good atmosphere in here for the big games. There's no better place to come. When Italian people walk into the bar, you can see, they look around and they're like, this is really weird. So I get asked like consistently, why do I put the papers on the ceiling, like Gazzetta, all of the shirts and the scarves. So I do get asked this all the time. The English people, they can name all of the teams and all of the shirts and stuff. So you'd have to fully understand why the Italian football. It's nostalgia. The Premier League wasn't so accessible to English people, which is pretty weird, but it was on cable TV. So a lot of people went to Italian football instead, and you know, at the time Italian football was the king. It was the best. I think a lot of people just like watching whatever football is on TV. So if it's English football, Italian football, international football, whatever it may be, people like just looking around and reminiscing of the good days of football. We try and serve as much Italian stuff as possible. We do pizza. We do very good pizza by the slice. We do Italian beers. We do some English beers also, but the Moretti is one of the drinks that goes best, the beer of Moretti. We do some Italian craft beers as well. We always put on whatever football the guys want, so I'll always try and accommodate those guys. So sometimes there might be a game on which we weren't planning on playing, and I will always make sure that I can put the game on. So over the last year and 18 months in total, I know a lot of the Italian guys now, and they message me, they text me and say, look, is the game on? Can I get reserved seats? They like the beers and the food. They like the football. They like looking at the old days, the nostalgia, and they like the fact that we're very nice to people, so we want to just make sure we can accommodate as best as possible. Antonio Cassano. Where do we start with Antonio Cassano? He was probably one of the most gifted players that Italy has probably produced. I mean, I think that's quite well known. The problem with Cassano is he ended up playing for so many teams. In Rome, they thought he was going to be, you know, him and Totti were going to rule the world forever. but it didn't work out that well for Cassano. If you watch the footage of the first goal he scores for Bari, I mean, the commentator goes mental. The ball comes over, he takes the touch and then heads it in and then fires it into the corner, and the commentator goes mental. It's like, Cassano. And so the promise for Cassano was so big, but by the time he'd finished, by the time he came back from Madrid, he was known for partying, for no training, he had bad disciplinary, you know, you could probably name loads more things. I actually like Cassano. I think if you have those personalities in football, in England there was Eric Cantona, Parma they had Faustino Asprilla. There's plenty of players in history who are just a bit crazy and they're very, very good at football, but they also don't really care. And Cassano is probably that guy. I think he's a very good player, but yeah, he's known for partying more. Rafael van der Vaart is another one. Van der Meyde as well for Inter, party. Once they got to be pro footballers, they like to party all the time. Cassano is one of those. The final thoughts of the bar is, it's not necessarily just the newspapers, the flags, the scarves, the shirts. We do pizza by the slice, and our pizzas are named after Italian football stadiums. So we have the San Nicola, which is Bari's stadium, Delle Alpi, which is Juve's old stadium, which is now gone, Luigi Ferrara's, which is Sampdoria, Sao Paulo, Naples, and San Siro. And we've tried to get as many small details as possible right. So even the sauce we use in our pizzas is Sirio, which is, they sponsored Lazio through the 90s or a couple of seasons. In the fridge behind the bar we do 7-Up, which is, it used to sponsor Fiorentina for a couple of seasons. So we do try and do as many intricate details as we can. So even if you come in, there'll be a reason why something is there based on that. But for you guys, again, thanks for coming in. And you know, next time you guys come in, we can probably do a Cassano pizza, like a limited edition pizza, where we'll just throw all the toppings on, and you can have everything on there if you want. A proper Cassano dinner. But thank you very much for coming in.
Bueno, un saludo a Tim, gracias tío. Iremos de nuevo a tu bar en Londres, que es una pasada, y recomiendo a todo el mundo que vaya porque realmente es estupendo, y volvemos aquí a la cueva Fraggle, aunque prometo salir, ¿eh? Yo creo que antes de que acabe esta temporada haremos una visita a algún estadio italiano, ahí lo dejo. Es nuestro objetivo en el canal este año, es visitar algún campo en Italia, a ver si podemos ir a algún campo en el que nunca hayamos estado. Yo creo que eso puede estar bien, y entrevistaremos a más gente, ¿no? Fuera de aquí de la cueva Fraggle. Mientras tanto, ¿cuál es vuestro jugador favorito de Italia de los años 90? ¿Qué jugador que haya salido fuera de la liga italiana os gustó más? O, por ejemplo, ¿qué futbolistas de los ingleses que fueron a Italia os parece que dio un mejor rendimiento? Bueno, comentarlo con el hashtag #DietaCasano en nuestras redes y también aquí en el vídeo, y suscribiros al canal, ya sabéis, le dais al botón y a la campanita para que os lleguen todas las casanatas. Y mientras tanto, homenaje al grandísimo Juan de Pablos, gran amante de la música italiana, con un forza, saluti a tutti, bacioni, arrivederci, un fortissimo bocca al lupo e a presto Pino.